Hello YouTubers, my name is Frederick Lopez and you are in a new action reaction in which we're going to review The Expendables. Here we go.
The Expendables was released in 2010. It is written by Sylvester Stallone and David Callahan, and it is also directed by Sylvester Stallone, marking his first time directing a movie that is outside of Rambo and Rocky since Staying Alive. It stars Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, Steve Austin, Mickey Rourke, Eric Roberts, David Zayas, with cameos from Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis. The Expendables begins when Barney Ross and his team successfully rescue hostages from pirates in Somalia. Barney Ross and his team of mercenaries are invited by Mr. Church to kill the corrupt General Garza, who's the dictator of the Villena Island in the Gulf of Mexico. Barney and Lee Christmas head to the remote location and scout out their opposition. Once there, they meet with the local rebel, Sandra, and discover the true nature of the conflict engulfing the city. When they escape the island and Sandra stays behind, Ross must choose to either walk away and save his own life, or attempt a suicidal rescue mission that might just save his soul.
So yeah, that's who's in The Expendables, and that's pretty much what it's about. It's a regular mission. Mr. Church, Bruce Willis hires them, they go there, and then they realize there's more than meets the eye. And there's a lot more character depth in this than expected, but Sylvester Stallone's really good about that in his writing. There's always a whole bunch of action, but there's always certain character moments that make you relate to the main protagonist, whether it's Rambo, Rocky, or whoever. And he does that here with Barney Ross. In a way, Barney Ross is almost like John Rambo older. But yeah, it's a brilliant action film. If you're looking for a strong story, like an Oscar type of movie, you're looking in the wrong place. But this is done more in the style of the last Rambo that Sylvester Stallone directed. And I like it. It's a culmination of the 80s and 90s action movies. If you grew up like I did, watching Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone films, Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, you're going to love this film. This film is pretty much like the culmination of, like I said, the 80s and 90s action films, and it does something very special. Now, does it get the formula down exactly right, like maybe some of the other sequels as far as ensemble? No, but there's something really great about just having a select member of people in the team. It has that A-team and the Losers type of element to it. It's very similar to the plot of The Losers based on the DC graphic novel, but it is an awesome movie. Like, if you're looking for story, again, you're not going to get it, but if you're just a guy or just a person who loves action, you're going to walk out of this movie with a smile. Like this is one of those movies that's just so damn fulfilling that it just puts a smile on your face. Like there's no way you can't like it. Sure, it does have its flaws, but it is an enjoyable action film that just leaves you feeling good at the end. And Sylvester Stallone does a great job at directing. It has a more visceral feeling to it. If there's any cons besides some of the story stuff, it's a little bit too shaky cam for my taste, but I kind of like it because it kind of gets the grittiness of like today, but like the brutality of the 80s and 90s action films and kind of meshes it together in a modern world. Great ensemble though. Jet Li's in it, Dolph Lundgren and Sylvester Stallone get to work together for the first time since Rocky IV. Eric Roberts is a villain. He was opposite of Sylvester Stallone in The Specialist. Mickey Rourke did the role of Tool as a favor to Sylvester Stallone because he was offered a role in Get Carter. And then you have Jason Statham again, who worked with Jet Li in War, The One. Stone Cold Steve Austin makes an appearance. Terry Crews is in it. It's pretty good for his first big action role. He's usually in comedies before that, and of course his history in football. But I like him as Hell Caesar. He's really awesome. He has like a giant machine gun that sounds like a cannon. And originally Wesley Snipes was going to play his role, but with his taxes he had to serve prison time and couldn't go outside the United States. So they got Terry Crews. And in addition to that, you have Bruce Willis making a cameo with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Probably the greatest cameo in like the history of cinema. I just love the dialogue between there. Bruce Willis ad-libs some parts, and then like Arnold saying like, "Give this to my friend. He loves playing in the jungle." Reference to Rambo, and then it's just like, "Are you sick? You lost weight?" And then Sylvester Stallone just like, "Whatever weight I lost, you found, pal." Which is brilliant. But then Bruce Willis asking like, "What the hell is his problem?" And then Sylvester Stallone is like, "He wants to be president." Just brilliant dialogue there, and it's such a small scene, but it's a really funny scene that you'll think about like throughout the duration of the movie. But it's a pretty basic plot, but I do like the action setups, real explosions, the guns. This is an R-rated action movie, just a kick-ass, beat 'em up, just old-fashioned action film, and I missed that in this age of superheroes, especially nowadays. This came out in 2010, but you had like so many like fictional movies with like superheroes and computerization and stuff that it was nice to get back to like a brass tacks, good old-fashioned action film. And Sylvester Stallone did a great job starting this. He had a documentary about making this, and it was originally going to be like his last action movie, I guess before the sequels and some other stuff, but like this is a really good homage to the action films that arrived in the 80s and 90s. And again, the plot's pretty basic. He pretty much decides to help out this woman and this community in Villena in the island. And he goes against Church's orders, stops Eric Roberts. Eric Roberts is pretty much like a run-of-the-mill villain. I mean, it's nothing too special. It's not like Jean-Claude Van Damme or Mel Gibson in the sequel. But he serves his purpose. He's basically just like a government crony guy who's over it. And yeah, it's a basic plot, very simple film that's not too complicated by any means. There's a good fight scene between Dolph Lundgren and Jet Li, and ultimately it's a feel-good action film. The story, it's pretty basic, so nothing much to be desired. The acting is pretty on par. I like the camaraderie between the members of the team. They always joke with each other. It feels like the way a real team would be, and just guys. It's just a guys movie. And I just love some of the humor in here. It's done in a not over-the-top way, and unlike the sequels... Fucking train. Unlike the sequels... Goddamn train. Anyway, unlike the sequels, this is much more serious. The beginning is very action-packed, then it takes a little bit slower time in the middle, which can be a good or bad thing, depending for some people, but I like some of the character development they do. Sylvester Stallone's really good about adding character development, whether it's with Lee Christmas, played by Jason Statham, Jet Li's character, even with Barney Ross with the conflict within his soul. He's talking to Mickey Rourke's Tool, and that scene between them is just so powerful, where he talked about he had the chance of saving this person, and he didn't, and because of that, it affected his soul. So it influences Barney Ross as a character on whether or not he wants to keep his soul intact in the lifestyle he's in, but it also further drives the plot and what the Expendables must do in the last mission. And that fight scene between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Sylvester Stallone, just amazing. That leg maneuver. Sylvester Stallone had 14 injuries, including like a neckline fracture around his collarbone, and you can actually see it when like he's fighting with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Steve Austin almost got injured with one of the explosions, but it's just real action. Blood, sweat, and tears went into this, and it's just a good callback to the good old-fashioned action films. If I had to give Expendables a score, I would give it an A- and a 4 out of 5. It's not the best movie ever, but is by no means a bad movie. And if you judge it based on what it's meant to be, which is an action film, it is a damn good action film. Leaves a smile on your face, good soundtrack, good characters. and just a suitable enough plot and action. But the action is what really drives this film. Now, it's before they perfected the formula as far as like which action stars to get, and that was part of the problem. Jean-Claude Van Damme was asked, Steven Seagal, so many people were asked to be in this film, and either it came to scheduling, circumstances, or just them not wanting to be in it. So then a lot of people, of course, after this was successful, wanted to be a part of the sequel. So it's amazing to see what Sylvester Stallone did here, but I kind of like having a limited number of people on the team before it got too big. It kept it more intimate. It was just more focused, more simple, and not only that, they didn't make any jokes about them being old. They're just kick-ass characters or kick-ass mercenaries. They're the Expendables. And this film is very, very highly enjoyable. And if you love all the 80s and 90s action movies, if you love all the Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger films, Bruce Willis, all that stuff, you're going to like this movie, especially if you like the last Rambo. This is just an awesome, awesome movie. I mean, even if with the flaws it has as a film, you're not going to really worry about them. It's not going to bog it down too much for you. You're still going to have a hell of a time. And then you have Diamond Eyes by Shinedown. Now, it's in the director's cut. This is theatrical, but still, it's in the soundtrack. Just a kick-ass song. You're going to see the world with Diamond Eyes if you watch The Expendables. And as an action fan and as a film aficionado, I would highly recommend seeing The Expendables. If you haven't got a chance to see The Expendables, start with the original. In my opinion, it's still the best one. And it's kind of a good callback to the action movies. If you want to see like some of the older action heroes of the more modern world, see this, because they kick ass and take names, and it is fucking awesome. So, yeah. A 4 out of 5 and an A-. The Expendables meets one of my highest recommendations for an action film. One of my favorite action films of the past decade. If you've seen The Expendables, let me know what are your favorite moments in the comments below. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And if you haven't seen The Expendables, please check it out on either like DVD, Blu-ray, or go to Netflix, Amazon, whatever, and check out The Expendables. You will not regret it. I like the story beats. Again, Sylvester Stallone adds a lot with David Callahan. Eric Roberts and David Zayas do good as the villains, along with Stone Cold Steve Austin as like the henchmen. I love Dolph Lundgren and Jet Li. Randy Couture does a really good job going from UFC to this, and they actually talk about certain conditions as a fighter, like flower ear being a syndrome, and I love that because each character is kind of personalized with something they're experienced in, and I like that they brought that onto screen. And yeah, it's a really, really enjoyable film. Mickey Rourke's great as Tool. I like his role and him setting up missions and being at the biker, and then boys are back in town at the end is great. The soundtrack's good, and the shots are just breathtaking. The explosions are real. That one scene with Jason Statham shooting up the gasoline and lighting it on fire was just incredible. The fight scenes, just everything is very enjoyable. So yeah, that is my action reaction of The Expendables. If you like this video, feel free to check out my other action reaction reviews, and feel free to check out my channel. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Dark Knight of Steel channel. I have an Expendables music video I made a couple years back in the link below in this video. So yeah, go check it out. The Expendables is awesome. And stay tuned for the next couple of action reactions. I'm going to be going over Die Hard 2, Die Harder, RoboCop 2 and 3, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and then I'm thinking of going straight through on the rest of the Lethal Weapons. So yeah, that's it for this episode of Action Reaction. You have a wonderful day.